Welcome to the Build Better Blueprint, the podcast where we discuss the foundations of real estate, entrepreneurship, and personal growth. Join Christian Cardamone as he shares insights, strategies, and stories that will empower you to level up your business, your lifestyle, and your impact. Let's build a better blueprint for success, starting now.
Hey, this is Christian Cardamone. Thanks for tuning in. This is the Build Better Blueprint. Today, I've got a real treat for you folks. I've got a good friend of mine and a local Wilmington power broker, Mr. Matt Kane. Matt is with Real Broker, not Wheel Broker, Real Broker, and has a team of 10 agents with Title Realty Partners. They also have an investment wing as well. Matt is like, does it all within real estate under the sun, commercial, residential, lots of investment, and just runs a really good operation, has a great reputation in town, does a lot of business, also has some military service in his past as well. So we're excited to talk about his story today and how he's built a lot of wealth and a very successful real estate team. So Matt, thanks for joining us today. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. I appreciate you guys having me.
Awesome, man. Awesome. So I want to just introduce you to the audience initially and tell us a little bit about kind of your start in the greatest industry in the world and kind of what led you down this path, starting a team and ultimately to land where you are with Real Broker.
Yeah. It's a whole bunch of happenstance, some luck, and all kinds of things that fell into line. But I guess really back when I was 18 years old, I joined the Marine Corps. So the Marine Corps is kind of what brought me to the area. I did about 5 years in the Marine Corps. I was a scout sniper there. Eventually, everybody was kind of dwindling down in Afghanistan and pulling out of those wars. And I just knew that, hey, I didn't want to be in the Marine Corps and not be extremely active in the career. So I figured it was a good time. I'll get out, I'll get my degree. And originally my plan was to go back into the military, become an officer and go the officer route. Originally, I thought that was the path when I got out, but I later found out that some certain injuries prevented me from getting back into the military. So that was unfortunate, but it all worked out for the best. So I applied to college when I was in Afghanistan. And Rutgers University took me. It was the only school I applied to. I knew they had a good military veteran program. It was like, hey, it's Rutgers, good business school. So went up to Rutgers out of nowhere. Never been in New Jersey before. Started there. I was doing a long distance relationship with my girlfriend, now wife. So we kind of got to that point where it was, hey, I've got to commit. She's down in Wilmington. It's been 3 years of long distance. I've got to commit. I'm going to go back down to Wilmington. Transferred into UNCW. So went from Rutgers to UNCW, ended up graduating student of the year at UNCW. So I was a very try-hard type of student, just always studying, always working, probably too much looking back on things.
Mm-hmm.
But so basically graduated student of the year. I got into the consulting world. I worked with Deloitte Consulting, did business strategy and operations work for a few years up in DC, and quite frankly was completely miserable, right? So living the DC lifestyle, up at 5 a.m., home at 10 p.m. My wife is traveling Monday through Friday for her job, doing pharmaceutical stuff. So pretty much seeing each other for a day a week. Ultimately knew that's not what we wanted. So sort of just had one random night where we were like, hey, this sucks. Let's do something different. We knew we both loved Wilmington. So came back to Wilmington. I knew I sort of missed that whole, I guess the service side of things. I'm kind of passionate about service, always have been. So I said, hey, I want to do something. I miss it. I'm going to go be a firefighter in the city of Wilmington. I'm going to sell some real estate on the side just to supplement the salary. Came back immediately before I was licensed or anything, joined Keller Williams, was an ISA for a strong team there, making hundreds of phone calls a day, setting all the appointments. And ultimately I grew a little bit upset because I was setting all these appointments and some people weren't closing the deals, which meant that I never got paid. So that led to me going out on my own. I knew I could set the appointments. I knew I could convert the leads. So I went out on my own. It led me to a boutique brokerage where they did primarily new construction. So I got that experience. Eventually, I knew that I knew how to run my own business, right? And I wanted to do things a little bit differently than some brokerages in town did. So I went to EXP, and they kind of allowed me to run my own shop, do my own thing, co-brand with them. It was just more freedom is ultimately why I went there. And then my first year, fully, while being a full-time firefighter, actively selling real estate. I sold about 40 properties, which was great. This was like pre the craziness. Then the next year, things picked up. 80 houses. Then I broke that 100 mark. And then I realized I didn't want to sell 100 houses anymore because that's not fun. Great to hit the milestone, but definitely not a lifestyle achievement by any means.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, by that time, I've had 2 daughters. I now have 3 daughters. So that just doesn't really work, doesn't really mesh very well. And that's ultimately what led me down the path of the team. I had all these opportunities. I had enough business. Never grew a team because I wanted to have a team. I grew a team because I needed to have a team. Otherwise, all these opportunities are going to be missed. That's just something I see all the time. People want to grow a team and they grow one before the business is really, truly there. I grew it out of necessity and brought in a few people that I really liked. And they brought in a few people that they really liked, and it just compounded really quickly. I think at the peak, we were at about 27 agents. When market got a little bit more challenging, we let go of a bunch of our agents just to focus in on our core group. So we brought it down to 10 agents and really started focusing on building out the investment wing along with it.
That's awesome, dude. That's so from Afghanistan to DC to Wilmington to here. That's quite a journey, dude. And then honestly, like your first year, 40 houses in your first year is that's probably puts you in the top 2% of our brokers in our market anyway, right?
Yeah, I was up, but that's, I had the good habits. Kudos to KW. I definitely built some really good habits out of the gate. And I have the military, I guess, discipline where I did the habits every day and never really skipped a beat. And it just compounded really quickly.
Yeah, and that was kind of where I was going with this. I'm curious because if you're in basically a brand new industry and you're a methodical guy because of your experience with the service. So did you lay out like a kind of a blueprint or a plan for how to get to 40, 80, 100 homes? Or was this just kind of like, I know I've got discipline, I know how this thing works, and let's just put our foot on the gas? Or did you have some strategery, as they say, about what to do?
Couldn't put the foot on the gas because I didn't have any money. So that was a bigger challenge. Like right out of the gate, I didn't have any money. I was renting an apartment in town, and I basically what I committed to at that point in the first year of my career. I don't know who said this, but somebody told me this, and I see it all the time. You see the agents chasing like 20 different lead sources and doing X, Y, and Z. I picked my 3 things and I stuck with 3 things and just did them consistently. And for me, it was when Facebook ads were easy to run. So I was doing a ton of Facebook ads. They were cheap and easy to run. Open houses because they're free and you're meeting qualified buyers every day. And the other one was Homes for Heroes. I had a service background, so Homes for Heroes makes a lot of sense. And that's all I did. And I just showed up every day and did the daily activities and picking up the phone, making the phone calls, sending out the messages. I do it every morning, 8 to 10 a.m., onward and upward for the rest of the day.
That's amazing, man. That is kind of a testament to show you how, not to take anything away from it because it's a ton of hard work, but it is in fact simple. It's a simple plan to just pick your lane, get really good at. In this case, instead of like shiny object syndrome, you have identified like the 3 sources you want to really hammer in on, then go deep on those, commit to those, and then beyond that, it's just showing up every day and doing the work that goes with that.
Yep, that's all it is. And I think that's really what separates, the top 1% really from the rest. It's just consistency.
Yeah, totally, dude.
I'm not the best on the phone. I'm not the best at anything. And I just show up every day. If you show up enough times, it'll work out one of these times for you.
Well, it seems to be working out for you. I mean, after getting through that many transactions, basically over 200 in the first couple of years, did you have like a major setback or anything where you're like, yeah, this was a mistake? Or was the mistake just realizing that you needed support?
Yes, to both of those questions. I've hit walls on many occasions. First, really getting 40 to 80, like that was a huge jump in a year. And really, that for me, I thought I was awesome by handling the whole transaction myself. Nobody's going to do it as good as Matthew King can do it.
No way.
No, that's not true at all. There's about 100 people that do it better than me. And I went through about 7 transaction coordinators looking for a TC for my first hire, paid them transactionally. That action alone allowed me to basically outsource 80% of my transaction and then refocus my energy into those daily activities and being consistent in the daily activities and what moves the needle. to basically double my production in a year.
So just bringing on leverage, realizing that was the weakest point. So when you bring a lever that you can pull for that, then you can focus on what you're good at, which is talking to the people, working the leads, closing them, and then put them over to the next space on the conveyor belt and let them roll down the line.
That's it. Figuring out the leverage and I think being a little bit more humble than I was, right? Just like the TC that I ended up landing on, she's in more of the reviews than I am. It's my reviews. It's like Matthew and Leah, Matthew and Leah. I'm like, it's really all Leah after that initial consult meeting, showing whatever it is. I mean, she runs the ship.
Yeah, then that goes to show you, man, the power of of teamwork is tangible at that point when you're delivering results like that. And I definitely, I'm fortunate. I have a great assistant and transaction coordinator on my team who, the same as you, like gets name dropped a lot, and I'm just very fortunate for that. 'Cause the one thing is, man, when you start your own real estate business, you can learn like how to generate business, how to talk to people and word tracks and all that stuff, customer service, but no one teaches you how to like run a business or how to start a team or how to bring on leverage. So you're like, I'm good at like producing, but I'm not good at being a boss. So that's a separate skill that you have to learn alongside of still producing.
Yeah, and that's, I mean, everything you're talking about right now, these are like the challenges, right? So the leverage was the first piece. Then I hired and recruited a bunch of people and they weren't great fits. And it's because I didn't know how to hire and recruit people the right way. And, I didn't understand personality assessments or this or that. I just said, hey, yeah, my team will grow. I'll bring on another agent. Perfect.
Mm-hmm.
And, when I was up to 27 agents, that's when you realize that you probably shouldn't have brought on half of them because you end up getting pulled in 1,000 different directions. And those directions you're being pulled in, they don't move the needle in the right direction. So that's really one of my themes for this year in particular is finding the right people and putting them in the right seats.
That's what like CEOs do. That's their main job when you get to a certain point. How do you balance being the CEO versus being in production?
Yeah, that's a constant challenge because I have so many. I think I have 700 or so past clients at this point who are always reaching out to me and kind of learning to say no, to say yes to something bigger. Hopefully, that's a big piece of it. And it's hard to hand off a commission or whatever, but ultimately getting in rooms with business owners and like-minded folks, that's sort of what's opened my eye to that and kind of made it realize that this is a necessity and I want to play the long-term game. I can't do the every day. I can't do the 100 homes a year anymore. That's not going to happen. But it's also recognizing that I'm not going to go cold turkey and go to 0 homes and hope and pray that everybody performs. It's just going to be a gradual shift while I build the business. And that's part of being a team leader and a business owner too, is you have to be able to give off opportunities to a team. Otherwise, you shouldn't be in that spot.
Yeah, I agree. That's the role, is to create opportunities and to cast a vision that's big enough for everyone on your team to realize their dreams inside of your vision is really, I think, the mark of an excellent CEO. And it can be challenging to like step over a dime to pick up a nickel, as they say, when it has to be like a bigger picture vision, like global for this is like the trajectory we want to go on. So every time your phone rings, it's like, dude, this is just, I can just go list this real quick and it's $7,500 commission. But that time now, when you start thinking bigger picture, is worth more than $7,500 commission if you put that energy there and not into kind of what the big picture goal is. So I recognize that.
Yeah, and that's I mean, I'm just thinking of this while you're sitting here talking, and it's like, yeah, you can just go easily take that $7,500 commission, but imagine how much another agent would appreciate that if you shared that with them.
Totally.
A lot of people just don't have that opportunity. They don't have the people reaching out to them. They do have families, they do have kids, and being able to hand out those opportunities and create win-win situations, that's ultimately what keeps people with you and keeps them growing with you.
Yeah, well, that's like the leader in you talking, and not the like bloodthirsty shark agent who's swimming around trying to attack every commission they can. So you're evolving. This is good.
Yeah, we're getting there one day at a time.
So you mentioned it before, like getting in the rooms with people who are doing big things and Tell me like your opinion on the role that coaching has played in your life and mentorship. Has that been something you did from the beginning, or is that like a recent transition into that to start going down that road?
My first experience, I'm going to call it my first experience with coaching. So, I was that agent, right? Selling 80 houses a year, 100 houses a year. I'm killing it. I'm also a full-time firefighter. I'm a father of 3 kids and married and this and that. And I was at an event in Cabo, a real estate conference. It was all about, recruiting and passive income and that kind of stuff. And I can't remember. I was talking to a team leader out of Virginia Beach, and I told him everything I was doing. And I think deep down, I was expecting him to be like, man, you're killing it. You're doing awesome. And he responded and said, so you're a freaking idiot. I was like, elaborate. He's like, you're going to have bad relationships. You're going to be stuck in production forever. You're never going to grow a true business. If you keep going on this hamster wheel that you're on, you're going to be burnt out in a year. And I was like, and this is someone who's been in the industry for 30 years, has one of the largest teams in the East Coast, just an absolute animal.
Mm-hmm.
But he's actually, he's built a true business. And that very night, I went to one of the meetings or one of the speakers, and he's actually in the same group that you and I are, which was kind of like a full circle thing for me. But one of the speeches that he gave, the theme of the speech was not, if not now, then when? If not now, then when? If not you, then who? And that very night, I was like, he's absolutely right. I'm going to basically kill my family relationship, kill my relationship with my kids. I make more than enough money to be completely comfortable. I don't need to make XYZ amount of dollars. And at 3 a.m. from Cabo, I sent a message to the Wilmington Fire Department and quit my job.
No shit.
Yeah, that very night. And I was like, yeah, that was the turning point of me, I think, wanting to be that superstar individual, all the accolades kind of agent to someone who actually wants to grow a business.
Yeah. That's awesome, dude. That's so powerful to hear that. I didn't know that, and I think it's so cool because that's a big transition, I think, from there's a million agents out there, but there's not as many business owners who want to build something with some longevity. They're both great. I mean, there's nothing right or wrong with either path, but one is, like you said, it's like a hamster wheel, and then the other one is something that you can build something around and have some sort of foundational that can offer you like a lifestyle versus just constantly chasing the carrot.
And it grows too. I think it definitely takes some time to get there. And it's like, I'm finally, after a few years of doing this, I'm finally at the point where I don't mind telling clients, oh, I can't show you houses on Saturday morning, coaching my daughter's soccer game, or going to gymnastics. I appreciate it, but I got someone else that can help you out, another member of the team that will step in and help you out. No problem. We'll get you taken care of. We'll get the house showed to you, but I can't do it, which is a great feeling when you actually do that and are able to go do the things that you truly want to do with your family and friends.
Yeah, especially since we both have young kids, man. I know like the value of like these years right now, dude, are like they're paramount in their development. And I mean, we both work a lot, and I think we both enjoy our work, but we also do work a lot to produce and provide. But I also, we don't miss events. We get to do everything together. I get to see her go to school every day, and I'm home when she gets home every day. And dude, like that's worth 6 figures right there to me. You can't even put a price on it.
Yeah. One of the revelations that I had was like 5 or 6 years ago. I went to if you're familiar with DLP Capital, I went to one of their events on the western side of North Carolina, and it was all about growing an investment company, raising capital, all that kind of stuff. And one of the things that stuck out to me was that I was the only person in that room that had to run out of that conference all the time to go answer my phone. I was like, all these other guys that have businesses that are 2 to 3 times larger than me, they're fine letting their phone rings and hanging out and being present and actually learning and doing what they came here to do. Whereas me, I'm seeing my phone ring and I'm sprinting out and hoping it's a lead or something silly and small. And I'm basically missing out on the whole value of being there as a result.
Yeah, that's self-awareness like coming through. 'Cause I think there's like some sort of like, I don't know if it's like machismo or whatever, where it's like, I fucking do everything, dude. I run this business. I'm doing the show in the house, like you said before. And people are like, how do you do it? You must be so busy. And like after the shine of that wears off, then it becomes the opposite of what you want people to ask you when they see you.
Yeah.
Fucking A, dude.
Check that box and move on from it.
Yeah. So that's great though, man. It sounds like so you've always kind of been intrigued or participated in some level of coaching or just learning about what else is out there, what other opportunities and
Yeah.
in programs like that. Have you had any other home runs or I mean, obviously, yeah,
Yeah.
working with in GoBundance, and that's been an awesome experience for me. How about for you?
Yeah. GoBundance has been great. So I've been a part of a few. I did Collective Genius for a while. So I did that one for really because I wanted to learn the real estate investing game. Oh, that's just how I am. Like if I'm going to go learn something, I'm going to go learn with people that I can find. So I've joined Collective Genius. I was there for a year and then went over to Seven Figure Flipper just because it was kind of more up my alley. And those are very like industry specific type of groups. But then at the same time, as I'm part of those groups, I'm sitting here, I'm like, man, my life is just like work, 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 work. And that's what led me to GoBundance. I was like, I need something more holistic, like people that are not just focused on growing profits, but also having quality time with family, having well-rounded lives, because my life has not been well-rounded at all over the past 5 years. I'm finally just kind of making that switch and reprioritizing things.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the thing is to get to a certain point, you have to put in the work and the reps and the hours. Like there's a season of your life where you have to just fucking grind, in my opinion. Because if you're like, oh, I want to just work 4 hour work week and stuff like that and do all this stuff in every soccer game, that's great if you've already built something that can help support that lifestyle. But otherwise, if you just want to do that from the beginning, it's going to take you a long time to get there. So there is a season where when you're young and you got the energy, you got to make hay while the sun shines. But
Yeah.
I agree with you that the group that we're in, I usually get more out of the events and the discussions that pertains to family and like it doing cool shit than the business side of it is very robust. And I get a lot from that, which is awesome. But you can get that in a lot of places. But I think the fact that a lot of these dudes, the family aspect of it is pretty cool.
Yeah, they've hit financial success and they're looking to, yeah, well, I guess well round their life.
Yeah. So tell me about this, man, because since you are very regimented, I heard you say you do like, lead gen a couple hours a day. Tell me about like your kind of non-negotiables daily, what you do to stay at top of your game.
Like needle movers.
Mhm.
Yes, I'm a 5 a.m.er, so I'm a 5 a.m. workout because if I don't do that, that right there will ruin the rest of my day. I cannot stand basically waking up in response to something else like screaming kids, right? So if I wake up and it's in response to somebody, then I'm immediately helping them all morning, and I just need to have an hour and a half to do my own thing before anyone else is up. So I've always done that. A lot of my day, I find that really regardless of what business I'm focusing on the day, um, the first 2.5 hours of every day is lead generation. It always is, whether it's for investment properties, whether it's for sales, whether it's for recruiting agents, it's all a form of lead generation. So I'll spend those first 2 hours and it's 100% outbound messages, outbound phone calls. I actually have a habit where I don't answer my phone between 8 and 10 a.m., regardless of who it is. Um, this is my wife. She'd probably kill me if I didn't answer her. But yeah, I won't answer it. So basically, everything I do for those first couple hours is outbound. And then by the time those couple hours is done, I'll look at my phone and I'll have a bunch of people that responded to me, called me back. I'll respond to those people that were inbound. And then really from the rest of the day, it's appointments, it's appointment prep. Or if I don't have anything for the rest of the day, I go home. That's it. I'll go for a run. I'll do whatever. So I've always done that. That's sort of in the core of my day. And then at this point, really 5 p.m. on is for the family. 5 to 8 is soccer practice, gymnastics, dinner, whatever it is.
Yeah.
That's really the bulk of the day. And I think that just that really one core habit of focusing on lead generation for 2 hours a day, regardless of what industry you're in, that'll change the game entirely. The amount of people that do it is like next to none.
I'm taking notes while you're talking there because I have started getting up early the last couple of years since I haven't, had my daughter. Just kind of, I don't have a choice. I like what you said. If you wake up in a reactive state, that like that's what I've been doing every day. I wake up to like a baby going, and like psychologically, I think that's taken like a toll on me because you wake up in like a panic or terror, even though everything's fine. But to hear someone crying every morning, it has got to be like psychological torture. So I just need to be better about that and getting up before so that I can just have a sip of coffee and go and get her at that point.
I got that one for my wife, but every time she would wake up, we've had babies for, there's always been a kid in a baby stage over the past 6 years.
Mm.
Like waking up in mom mode, I couldn't imagine that. Like every day waking up to somebody crying or screaming or something.
Yeah.
She has to be able to wake up an hour early to have time for Austin instead of mom. And I've kind of brought that into my own life too.
Yeah, it's like for us, it would be the equivalent of like someone coming into your room, pulling the sheets off, and then all 700 of your clients are in your room and they're mad at you.
Yeah, that's basically what it goes. Yeah, basically what it goes. It's another like one of those waking up and like, I went to bed at 10 o'clock and I looked at my phone at 9 and there's no messages. And somehow I wake up at 7 a.m. and I have 15 missed text messages and 2 phone calls. Like I won't even look at my phone until I get to the office because it's just stresses me the
Yeah.
hell out waking up with stuff
Yeah,
like
dude.
that.
The struggle is real, man. So tell me what you're building right now, because as I said before, you're doing brokerage, you got the team, you're doing a lot of investment. Which do you really are you leaning into, and like where do you see this business going in the next 3 to 5 years?
Yeah. So I'm kind of so really what I'm trying to do, what I'm most like, passionate about, what I really actually enjoy is the investing side of the business, just like fix and flip. Um, Primarily amongst a few other like wholesale and stuff like that. But I still love going on the appointments, meeting the sellers. We get a lot of phone calls from sellers just because of our marketing campaigns when they're in distressed situations. So basically, we're able to provide them a solution, often in lieu of foreclosure or something like that. We'll buy the house out, give them some money so they can move on, do their thing, and kind of create a win-win environment that way. So really growing that. I think our first year doing that, the guaranteed cash offer, we ended up doing like 30 or so flips, which was, I didn't realize, I guess, how many that is or how big of a deal that was until I went to some of these investment groups where they're like, oh, we've been doing this for 20 years and we do 10 a year. But I think the reason that we were so successful in that is because we have the background of real estate agents that are focused on doing daily lead generation. We already have that built in. So that's what I really, really enjoy doing right now. But I sort of couple that with the team. Our whole, like our mission statement, everything we want for the team is basically to create an opportunity for the agents to become more profitable, to fund the life that they want to live is really what we're shooting for. So we're bringing in some agents on investments. Agents are sourcing deals. We're buying houses. We're partnering with our agents. A lot of these newer agents don't have the means to go buy and flip a house. I'm fortunate enough to have the means to do that with them, but it's a win-win because I don't have the time to manage the projects, to manage the contractors, to do all that. So some of these agents that don't have the capacity to invest are able to invest their time. And I can leverage their time and they can leverage our capital and create a win-win and become partners on an investment property.
That's awesome. It's like that's such a good opportunity to offer that, because it gives them, like you said, helps them build a life within your organization. So that creates, synergy, creates folks that want to stay with you, builds culture there,
Uh-huh.
and you like walk the walk and talk the talk. Plus, basically every lead that you generate, it doesn't get wasted. It gets put in some silo, and then you can monetize it and turn it into an opportunity at some point in time with the team that you have around you, right?
Correct. Yeah. So we get the cash offer leads, we get all kinds of investment leads. A lot of times those numbers just don't work. We'll give them the offer and it's just a mathematical function. But if it doesn't work, then new agent on my team, Christian Cardamone, we might send Christian that seller and he might go list their house for full market value. So that there's the lead has many more exit strategies than your traditional real estate leads will.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. And so your top are those channels that you mentioned initially, the Facebook and the Homes for Here. Like, what are your main channels right now? And it sounds like you're doing a lot of direct
Yeah.
mail.
So we do a lot of direct mail. We have a group. We do a lot of cold calling where we'll just call lists, high equity owners, and things like that. We have groups doing that through another company. Then we have a marketing team doing our Google pay per click, our SEO, our social media advertising,
Mhm.
all the above. Yeah,
Which one do you think you get the most bang for your buck from?
direct mail.
No
Probably get
shit.
3 to 5 phone calls a day for people wanting to sell their house.
Wow. And what's like a monthly spend for something like that to get that type of return?
It took like 4 or 5 months to actually start. I think it takes multiple mailers for people to start, actually calling, seeing your name, seeing your number multiple times. But at this point, we're only spending like $2,500, um, $2,500 a month on mailers and postage. It's a really targeted list that we're working with, and we're getting 20, probably 20 calls a week right now.
Wow, that's a great return because for like
It's really impressive, and we just hope and pray that somebody actually answers the phone and is able to convert that lead.
yeah, that's the worst part is if you spend all this money getting these things and these sellers are all hot and horned up and ready to go, and then they call you and no one answers the fucking phone, and it's like, what just happened?
Yep, I get the missed phone calls and my emails. I'm like, awesome, great.
Yeah. Oh man.
And then you call them back and they're like, oh, we already sold to Christian. Sorry, we already
Yeah.
signed the contract. Great.
Man, that never happens.
That's all right. That's part of the process, and that's why we're trying to really build out that team and kind of, I guess, we're trying to have somebody virtually come on to answer those phone calls for us to basically further vet the lead before it comes over to the team.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, man, and we can talk about this offline, but I had a guest on the show yesterday. He's in GoBundance. I think his name's Kevin Brenner. Awesome dude. Started an AI company called Property Bots. Dude, it's amazing. I tested it out. I haven't used it yet for hire, but it's something I'm definitely gonna look into. And it sounds like it could be. You're smiling like you already know about it, probably.
Yesterday, yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I was on a call with him yesterday.
Oh, that's awesome. So he's in Charlotte, which is crazy. So we all need to get together for sure. So right now, what are you like reading, listening to? Like what's shaping your mindset and strategy right now? Where are you getting inspiration right now?
Yeah, I haven't really been reading anything that's too. I'm a big fan of like reading self-help type books, but right now, as you can kind of see behind me, I even tried to crop it out a little bit, but like general contractor exam is my life. So that's sort of what I've been reading up on for the most part lately. I'm also reading a ton of books on tax strategy, as you know.
Yeah.
Spending the last 2 years paying way too much money and just realizing that, okay, if I'm going to do this right, I've basically got to take it into my own hands and find an accountant that will work with me instead of for the IRS, so to speak. But kind of learning that whole game and using AI to help me there. So focusing on fixing up the tax strategy and the general contractor stuff for now.
Nice. Very exciting, gripping, groundbreaking stuff. I'm sure it keeps you up at night.
I know. It keeps me up in the sense that I'm upset that I haven't been doing these things for 5 years.
Oh man, well, I got a couple more questions for you, man. Tell me, like right now, so we're in southeastern North Carolina here in Wilmington. What's your kind of like current pulse of the market? What do you see as like some big opportunities? If someone's an investor here in our market, something they should be paying attention to. I'm curious as to your thoughts on that because you're so dialed in.
Yeah, it's right now I have more listings than I've ever had, which is kind of by design. That's kind of by a byproduct of running a guaranteed cash offer program. A lot of these leads have switched over to listings. The market's really, it's not necessarily slow as long as the houses are priced right and in desirable areas, but there's just a lot of areas like Brunswick County that's completely saturated with new construction. So like those properties have been very tough to sell. If you have a qualified buyer, I think that's gold in today's market. Over the past 10 years, everyone's been list to live, go get the listings, this and that. Right now, especially if you're a newer agent, there's nothing more valuable than having a buyer that's qualified and ready to go. And that's really the best way. If I have a buyer that's ready to go, I'm going to find them a winning scenario. They're going to save money on their house. I'm going to get a fantastic review because I'm going to be a hero at the end of it. That's really where I would focus my marketing dollars.
Nice. Awesome. That's good insight. Most of the time they say like listings are the thing to go after. And so it's maybe that's a sign of the times or what's to come that now like a ready, willing, and able buyer who's qualified is like having a round in the chamber versus just putting a sign in the yard and hoping that there's someone out there. If you've got someone that you can point them, bring them to where they need to go to get their goals accomplished, then there's a lot of value in that.
Yeah, I think even the job as a listing agent has just completely changed. Now it is not, it's not multiple offers, craziness, seller's going to be ecstatic. A lot of it is managing expectations is really what it is in today's market for us.
Yep. Understood. I would concur with that too. It's a new inventory that's like coming on. You're having conversations now that you maybe didn't have in the past. And it can be a challenge too, in my experience, because we're in this every day. So we're constantly have our fingers on the pulse of the market, but the sellers just they still think the fish are jumping in the boat and they're going to list their house and for, $1 million and everyone's going to show up with multiple offers. So managing expectations is probably one of the biggest skill sets that like a listing agent needs, because you can manage them good or bad, but it still needs, you need to have these kind of conversations just so everyone gets started off on the right foot. So cool, dude. Well, listen, some final wisdom from Matt Kane. Anything you want to share with our audience? And we'd like to see how we can support you, where we can find you. If anyone's interested in maybe talking to you about joining your team or, buying some real estate or getting involved in fix and flip. I won't answer the phone when they call, so it'll go to you next. So I want to make sure that they can find you.
I got you. Well, yeah, finding me on social media would be Instagram at Matthew P. Kane and Facebook at Coastal Carolina's Favorite Agent. And then I think the final word of wisdom would be figure out what moves the needle for you and stay in that lane.
Awesome, dude.
Yeah.
Sage wisdom and advice from Matt Kane. So, ladies and gentlemen, you heard it here first. Thanks for tuning in today. This has been the Build Better Blueprint. This is Christian Cardamone signing off with Mr. Matthew Kane.
Appreciate it, guys. Thanks.
That's it, folks. That's our show. Thanks as always for listening. If you enjoyed today's discussion, please leave us a 5-star rating and subscribe to our channel so you are up to date with the latest episodes. Feel free to share with your friends and keep up the great work. You are on the right path. See you at the top.